As a child of the 80s, I watched pretty much every cartoon out there. Everything from He-Man, Thundercats, Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, even the girly stuff like the Get Along Gang and the Care Bears. If it was on the air and cell animated, I parked my ass in front of the boob tube and I watched the thing. My youthful, ungrizzled eye was not as critical back then. I just absorbed it all and questioned nothing. Sadly, I've gone back and revisited a few of my old faves from back in the day, and in most cases, it is true what they say. Sometimes, you just can't go back home.
You can't go back home. You can't go back home. No, Captain N, even you? You can't go back home.
You could imagine my trepidation when I was reunited with this, 1986's Galaxy High School. A show I remembered loving back in the day, but the lobes of my brain which stored those fuzzy memories were long dead. I asked myself how in the hell would this hold up?
Right out the bat, this show makes an awesome first impression. I don't care if you grew up in the 80s like I did or if you're seeing it for the first time today, this opening is fantastic! Not only does it tell you everything you need to know about the plot before they throw you in the thick of it, but these instruments, the vocoder effect on the voice, it's also goose-chillingly good. It's like future and retro mishmashed into a perfect symphony. The art, the animation, it's all top-notch. But as I see this opening, I watch it with a curious eye. Many of these shows have excellent animation in the opening, and then they take a dump when it comes to the rest of the series. But by God, not here. Look at the animation. It's perfect. Beautiful even. Just as good as the opening, which is rare. Brings a tear to my eye. The animators on this show weren't playing around. There is constant movement. All sorts of moving pieces fill the screen and keep your eyes busy. Characters make nonchalant movement as well as necessary movement, always a plus. The color of this series just pops! I would be hard-pressed to find a single scene in this show which doesn't feature every color of the rainbow. Look here, how the artists portray size and perspective. When is the last time you have seen art and animation like this? I loved this back in the day, I'm loving it now, and I kick myself for taking so many of this show's qualities for granted way back then.
Before I gush any further, let's not forget the importance of a good plot.
Our main characters are the slick jock Doyle Cleverlobe and unpopular bookworm Amy Brightower. They are selected to be transferred to Galaxy High, a hip, futuristic school and melting pot for alien races of all shapes and sizes, located in the far reaches of outer space. Amy is transferred there with a full scholarship and looked at as kind of an ambassador for humanity, while Doyle is there as part of a Scared Straight program to try to bolster his terrible grades. It's not long before the two see their roles from Earth completely flip-flopped. Amy is given a sexy makeover and falls in with the popular crowd, some of whom include the transparent-lobed Bowie Bubblehead and multi-mouthed Gilda Gossip.
Cindy Comet told me she's gonna be queen of the dance, but everybody knows you're gonna be queen, Amy.
That voice sounds familiar. And Doyle is seen as an outcast, constantly running afoul of the Bonk Bunch, a group of hallway thugs led by the pelican-looking Beef Bonk. Ultimately, they are there to learn, but adventure often comes a-calling in many different forms, and episode by episode, these characters hot rod from one side of the universe to the other, risking life and limb, but they're always back in time for the next class. It is a simple yet brilliant plot which is good for the kiddies, but can be appreciated by viewers of all ages. As much as I love the opening narrative, I wish we had a little bit of time with Doyle and Amy on Earth. It would have helped to see what a dick Doyle could be, so his comeuppance would be more satisfying. As it is, I can't help but feel sorry for the poor guy. The two characters share some good interplay, it even looks like they might get together on a few occasions. And I'm not gonna lie, as a child I had kind of an unnatural obsession with Amy. Sue me! It's said the show ran for 2 seasons, but I could swear it only lasted 1, I could be wrong on that. A whopping total of 13 episodes were produced, what a miscarriage of justice. My favorite episodes here: those eyes, those lips. Where Bowie Bubblehead is trying to see her teen throb idol Mick Maggers in concert, but the concert is sold out, and her friends have to do everything in their power to get her to that show, even if it means risking expulsion and sneaking in. There's a great running gag, quite literally, where a Luigi's Pizza comes to life and kidnaps a student, with Doyle in hot pursuit. Tog! Tog! I love those little guys. Then there's Dollars and Cents, where a spoiled rich former Galaxy High alumnus by the name of Reginald Van Unicycle visits his old school and succeeds in buying Amy's affections. Doyle and the rest of his posse can see Reginald sees Amy as just another thing to own and put on his mantle, and they must run in to her rescue. I love the animation in this episode, particularly when Reginald scoots around the hallways. They really emphasize the inertia of being a creature with a giant tire instead of 2 feet. Doyle's new friend. This one's also tops in my book. A new derelict student named Wolfgang comes to Galaxy High and has trouble fitting in, something to which our protagonist Doyle can relate. Doyle tries to befriend Wolfgang, but the guy is such an asshole there's no relating with him, and as a result, Doyle ends up more shunned than ever. This episode has one of my favorite sequences. At one point, this egg-throwing character named Roland is being chewed out by Principal McBrain. Remember what I said before about nonchalant movement? Watch this!
I'm sending you to the detention planet for 2 weeks!
To me, that was like the ultimate fuck you. Watch this again!
I'm sending you to the detention planet for 2 weeks!
I love the way he just flicks it in her face. I can sense the anger and yet the confidence. Yeah, you think you're teaching me a lesson? I'll take your damn detention, you ugly bitch. And I could not believe this episode, The Brain Blaster, in which Doyle is Galaxy High's MVP in psych hockey. It's looking like he may be the sports stud that he used to be. But his grades are slipping, and he is in danger of being yanked from his one-man team. Doyle's brain needs a little pick-me-up, so what does he do? He starts taking drugs! Holy crap nuggets, you heard that right! This isn't even one of those special PSA episodes. It's just a normal episode in regular rotation. I had little memory of this when I revisited it, but as it played out, it all started coming back to me. They would never, ever be able to get away with this nowadays. I love it when Doyle fries his brain off the drug. You can tell the voice actor for Doyle also did Wolfgang's voice.
Not awesome, awful. Test, oh my gosh.
While it's true the show was designed for the young crowd, in a way this plays a lot like the high school shows of the time which were aimed at early teens, like Degrassi Junior High, Sweet Valley High, or Head of the Class. They never delved into the real-life troubles of typical high schoolers. You're not going to see references to sex and STDs, obviously. But still, there are tons of things to relate with here. You'll have to read through some thick lines to see it, but it plays into things like teen angst, the cruelty of being the outsider, social microcosms, and just the all-around struggle of teenage youth. In my opinion, the episodes of the first season were marginally better than those of the second. In those later episodes, the plotline showed small signs of petering out. The episode Founders Day? Are we really going back in time to save the school? And what's this? It came from Earth? Doyle passed out with the idea in his head that he's the biggest man on campus, and now he's having a nightmare about being King Kong? These ideas aren't the greatest basis for episodes, admittedly, but the series, through kick-ass visuals and snappy writing, they still continue to impress, all the way to the end. The characters may look bizarre, but they are as deep as a Saturday morning cartoon will allow. Gilda is a bit of a brat, Wendy is a tease, Creep is a hopeless romantic, Milo is a bashful know-it-all. Everyone has their own individual hook, and with such a large main cast, that's pretty commendable. Compare this to something like Top Cat the movie. I think the strawberry filling in a Twinkie is more organic than those characters. Also commendable is the lingo of the series. This is outer space after all. They've adopted their own fads and sayings of the time. A person of low intelligence who doesn't fit into any crowd? That's a gazort. What do you call a coward? There are no chickens up here. You call him a cackalack. And this show gives birth to some great catchphrases. From Roland's to Reggie's to Beef's
Earth stinks.
You'll be reciting these till the cackalacks come home to roost. Another thing they got right on the money: character design. Movies like Monsters Incorporated, you have monsters that look like monsters, some of them look like aliens, others look like lizards, slugs, what have you. Well, this show doesn't have that problem. Nope. These are most definitely aliens, each with a unique little gimmick. There's Principal McBrain, studious matronly woman with a brain on the outside, Professor Eisenstein, who conducts science experiments in a giant freezer. Then there's Flat Freddy.
No, it's not my place to say, but don't you think we'd better get out of here?
Who also has a very familiar voice. Everyone except for Luigi, he just looks like Mario in a chef's hat. The school itself is imaginative as well, with talking lockers, blackboards, a walking gym named Jim. Hell, to this day I would still love to take a ride in one of those suction chutes they use to get from class to class. This show is just overflowing at the brim with fun and originality.
The music? Holy crap! Where can I buy the soundtrack to this show?
It is not a score, technically. They use and recycle pre-arranged songs much like Transformers and G.I. Joe did back in the day. But man, the music in Galaxy High has a style all its own.
The light is on, but no one is home.
Listen to this! What is that instrument? It's like a synthesizer and a guitar making sweet love with each other. When I go back to this series, I do so outside the umbrella of my childhood 80s fandom. I judge this show on its own merits and factor out the nostalgia aspect of it. But if I were to embrace that part of my mind, I feel it would be a disservice to the show. For back in the day, yeah, I liked this, but it wasn't one of my all-time favorites. I always appreciated the good art, animation, and effort back in the day, but I didn't appreciate it to the level I do presently, especially considering the absolute dearth of all of the above in the current state of animation. I can see this now with extra clarity. This is an expertly crafted show in every conceivable facet. It was made to tell stories first, a commendable approach when you consider the era in which this was produced, the mid-80s, where near every tune on TV was essentially a half-hour-long commercial.
I am not gonna give these out very often, but I can't think of a single thing wrong with this series. Galaxy High School gets a rock-solid 5 out of 5 stars, proving that in the rarest of instances, you can go back home. This is your good buddy Djclyve. Until next time, I'll see you in Limbo. Now, stop being such a gazort and check this out.